Hi, it's Devora,
Hi.
Integrative Therapy and Coaching. We had a little technical problem for a few minutes, but we're here! Yay! Hello, Carole Dalby. Everyone who's watching,
Really?
so lucky to have Carole today. Carole is one of my favorite people, and she is a superstar. She's going to talk a little bit today about her journey from where she was to where she is now, and a little bit about how she got there. And I have been blessed to know you, Carole. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for all your help. I wouldn't be here had you not helped me on the way. So,
Oh, yay! It's a win-win for everyone. So
absolutely.
what we're going to talk about today is how you went from where you were. I don't know when would we say 6, 7 years ago?
Oh, more than that.
10 years ago.
9, 10 years
Nine.
ago.
Okay. So I would love for you to share a little bit about what your life is like now, as far as the wonderful marriage that you're in, the lifestyle choices that you make, and then where were you before, and what were some of the pieces that we did together to help you get from where you were to where you are?
Okay. So where I am now is I'm in a great space. I know myself really well. I'm healthy. I've learned how to manage challenges in my life with different tools that you've given me. 7 years ago, or 9 years, or 8 years ago, I met a wonderful man and we got married, and I'm in a great marriage, and we've had bumps along the way, which you've helped with as well. But we're happy, we're having fun, and we're really getting to know each other, which is awesome. But I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been, I think, for the work that you and I did together along the way. So when I found Devora, I was coming out of just a toxic relationship, and I was in my mid to later 20s, and I didn't know who I was, and I'd been sort of made a series of missteps. And I knew, though, one thing I knew is that I didn't want to do that again. I didn't want to go through that again. And you helped me along the way to have tools or ways to identify, number one, who I was, what I was interested in, and when I made bad decisions, why I made them, or if I did something that was impulsive or not the best thing from a health, mental health, physical health wise for me, why did I do that, and how did I keep moving forward, making just better choices that were the right thing for me. And I would say that I was in a state where it didn't matter who I met for a relationship. I wasn't in a state to give. And one of the first things that I realized when you and I met is that I needed to not give myself to anybody, and I needed to just figure out who I was first. So I
Mhm.
took a break, and I took about 2 years to figure out who I was. Who did I want to be with? I remember you and I did a lot of work together, and then we sat down one day, and I said that I thought I was ready to meet somebody. And, you said, well, let's make a list of all the things that you would like in another person and all of the things that you don't like. And then as you start to meet people, then those will be little reminders for you of, oh, they've got this great habit. That's awesome. Or, oh, they've got this negative characteristic that is not good for you. Let that be a little warning sign. But it's been fun.
Yeah. So you had to get some clarity about yourself, which, as I know from my personal growth, and as you certainly know from yours, Carole, that's really hard to do yourself. You know, you,
Very, I would say this is probably the hardest thing I've done, was really work on myself. And I'm not done. I mean, I can, I can still see you. I continue to work on myself, but it's the best financial investment I ever made in my life. It's the best personal investment, because I took steps to know who I was and to be comfortable with who I was. None of us are perfect, but those unique things kind of make us who we are. And there's a fine line between tempering something that sometimes might be bad, but sometimes might be good about your personality, and learning when to bring that out and when to calm that down. And that's a flow that you have to figure out in your own self.
And how, in your life now, but particularly in your marriage now, because, what we're focusing on in this particular conversation is about choosing your ideal partnership. Which, by the way, it does not mean perfect partnership. It means the
No.
ideal partnership for you to be working towards what makes each of you the best people you can be. And how has that contributed, all that growth that you did to making the best choice in partner? And you've been married now for 6 years?
6 years, yes.
Yeah.
So it's actually really interesting because what you taught me to be, I was always a very giving person. I gave too much. And so then you taught me it's okay to be a little selfish. And when my husband and I have really just figured out, it took us about 5 years to figure it out, is that we had still been operating as individuals, great individuals, our best individual selves. And we started to get into a little trouble. And one day we realized that we've never worked as a team. And because we never worked as a team in our relationship, we weren't really having a real relationship, but we have a pretty easy life. So it worked, but then it stopped working. And now I've learned through a tough time that you helped my husband and I through. The most important thing in a relationship that I didn't get is that when you're really giving your best self to someone else, or when you choose to be in a long-term relationship with somebody, you have to think about that person sometimes before yourself, often before yourself. Simple things like if you're frustrated with each other and maybe you might be using more inflamed verbiage than you normally would, I've learned to stop and go, is that kind? And, what's the purpose of me being that way? And I stop. Or, people fight about money a lot. It's something that, we have constant angst with. I have to stop when I want something for me. Is this what's best for us? If we're trying to save money to buy something, who comes first, I or we? And it's we. And I've really had to learn to stop saying I and to really start thinking about we. Yes. And I've been focusing on that a lot in the last 6 months, and we're having fun. And it's great.
Yeah. Well, you're freed up, right? I mean, the outcomes that you have created, it's been wonderful journeying with you, but you took this on, you made the commitment and the investment for yourself and now for the two of you. But had you not done that, you wouldn't have attracted, nor would you have chosen this particular partner. You're saying no, nor
Never.
would you have been able to get through the humps that naturally are going to happen. I can't say it enough times. Ideal relationship is not perfect, simple, easy. It's just the right one for you, and having those tools to get there and having those tools to stay there. So that's not easy, and it is not easy to do on your own. And what we do, what we've done together, what we do at Genesis Integrative Therapy and Coaching is help folks like you, Carole, like myself, like anybody watching, to go from that place where you don't want to be to get to that place where you want to be, and then be able to bring yourself back there when you track. So, what would you say to anyone who's watching who says, oh, yeah, I've tried therapists and coaches and online dating and self-help books and groups, and that hasn't worked for me. Why is this going to be helpful? Why now? What would you say to that person about that might give them hope or might inspire them to do this piece of work with Genesis, with me, themselves?
It's actually pretty simple and very clear to me. So one of the first things you taught me when we were working personally together was that I don't have to be perfect, and it's okay. And I am going to make mistakes. But when I do, it's okay. It's okay to make a mistake. The key to it is just to acknowledge it, to understand it, and to learn from it, and to grow. And I actually just said to my husband yesterday, we were sitting next to each other having a deep conversation, and I looked at him and I went, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm not going to be my perfect self always, but I can promise you that you will always be able to trust me. And if you can trust me, then trust me to know that I will keep working on when I make a mistake and not being perfect. And I'll be patient with you when you make a mistake, and we'll get through it together. And I've learned that from you, from my time working with you. And hopefully you know that, because I like to send a lot of people to you. But you gave me the wonderful gift of patience and understanding, and that is really important in a relationship. Patience and empathy, and not judging and being fair.
So I think what you're saying, Carole, is that you now made the right choice in partner, but you could also be the right partner. And
Yeah.
those things have to work in concert. You're not going to get there and you're not going to stay there. No use in getting there if you're going to end up in a short time or even whatever time being one of those 50% couples that doesn't quite make it. And it's valuable to have the tools you have. They're inside of you. They're yours now forever.
And it's like anything in life. Nothing's perfect. It's not, and you have to be realistic with yourself and with others, and maybe 75% of your best self is just wonderful. You find a lot of beautiful things in 75%.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's impressive, how far you have come. I don't know if you would have believed it was possible,
No.
10 years ago now. And it's possible for anyone. It's possible for anyone. It requires making the commitment, being aware of where you are, being very invested in where you want to go, and getting help to do that. I think that's the combination that works. That I've seen over the 25 years I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and it's a combination that works so that you can get where you want to go and stay there.
Yep, I totally agree with that. It's a wonderful investment in yourself and in your life. It's not just my relationships with my husband that are better. It's relationships with my family, with my friends, with my coworkers. It's tools that I apply across the spectrum of my life. And I'm a much happier person because of it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I want to hear. And that's why I get up and do what I do every day. So it is a blessing to know you, and thank you for sharing, with people who are watching. And what I'm really looking for, what I'm committed to, and you join me in this today, is helping anybody who's watching to go from a sense of hopelessness to a sense of hope, from a place of where you don't want to be to believing you can get to that place, and then knowing that there's a step you can take to get you there. So that's
where I've been. That's where I'm going. I'm going to keep working on it.
So anyone who's watching, if there's any way that I can help you, please reach out to me. Just private message me, send me a message at Genesis Integrative Therapy and Coaching. And, I am here for you. That's what I'm doing here every day. So thank you, Carole. You're a blessing.
Thank you.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Bye-bye.